Hey guys, welcome back to the Grant Mitt Podcast, episode number 108. And in this episode, we're going to be breaking down how to expand your consciousness and ultimately manifest and build the life that you want. Consciousness is everything. And when you think about how to expand it, you first have to look at everything from a very simplistic standpoint. Look at every single thing that you've accomplished thus far in your life, you've done, you've experienced, the things you know, the people and the family that you grew up with, positive or negative, that shaped who you are today. And if you look at the last, let's say 6 to 12 months, the books that you've read, the content you consume, the people you surround yourself with, and where you've actually lived has shaped the results that you're living in today, whether positive or negative. And so when you slow down and you realize, wait, okay, I'm living this current life. I like these things. I wish these things were better. I like being around these people. These people, not so much. They're not good for me. When you start realizing that, you're like, wait, what caused this? And what's cool and is a freeing experience is realizing we're the common denominator in every situation. There's a part in the Bible, depending on, it doesn't matter what religion you are, it's a good point, but it just says the rain falls on the just and the unjust. Meaning, let's say a massive hurricane hits a city. No matter how big or small your house is, the hurricane is going over that house, meaning everyone that is listening to this podcast is going to go through challenges, difficult circumstances, and different and unique situations. But the common denominator is you. So if we want to craft and groom you into the person that you're ultimately meant to be and accomplish things that maybe most people would never imagine accomplishing, we have to get really conscious and focused about what we're putting into our brain and make and shape ourselves into who we want to actually become. Okay, so this is the first thing that we want to do. Okay, so this is going to be a step-by-step basis. I'm going to give you guys 3 specific steps and then 4 action items so you can implement this. And you guys may be listening to this podcast in 2035 right now or 2024, but I'm going to show you how to have an incredible next year or finish the year off strong and ultimately accomplish what you'd like. Okay, so number 1, because you've accomplished certain things and you're experiencing a certain type of lifestyle, it's based off of the things you've experienced. So we want to go out and actively seek new environments, knowledge, and people that align with the version of yourself that you would like to create. So think about it. That future version of yourself, that one that you dream about, when you drive through that nice neighborhood, when you see something online, when you're like, man, what if I could accomplish that? I want you to slow down for a second, maybe put in the notes of your phone, write on a piece of paper, and I want you to think through and go, what would that version, that 2.0 version of you, what would they know? Where would they go? Who would they be around? What skill sets would that individual possess? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So realize we're going to reconstruct and recreate who you actually are. And this includes if you're having success right now. And we want to do this actively, focused and full force ahead. Don't dilly-dally. Don't, okay, I'm going to see. No, you have to go all in on reshaping who you are, the way that your brain processes information, and the things that your brain knows. Yes, you are a common denominator, but if you only see these 2 cards and these are the only 2 industries or only 2 options that you think is associated with success, then that's all you know. I grew up in the south part of Houston, Texas, and I've seen so many people that I've grown up with that could sell the own shirt off your back, that could do, just unbelievably talented people. And they didn't ultimately, maybe they will in the future, I hope so, but they didn't ultimately achieve things that they could potentially actually do because not of talent, but they didn't know what was out there. They didn't go study. They would be the best private equity people ever. They would be the best investors ever. And, they just didn't know that that was possible. They didn't seek it or they didn't have the right connections or whatever the case may be. So you have to go after these things. Hey guys, if you want to take your career and finances to the next level, I just launched my private business community for entrepreneurs, salespeople, and anybody that wants to develop, increase their finances, and grow over the next year. We have tens and tens and tens of hours of private content that is not seen on any of my platforms publicly. We also have weekly calls and networking events where you can connect with 6, 7, 8, and even 9-figure entrepreneurs. For a limited time, it's only $29 a month. And my guarantee to you is that $29 a month will radically change your life and your finances forever. If you guys would like to join, you can go to school or hit the link in my bio on any of my social media, or look below whether you're on YouTube or you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Just look in the description below and you can click the link to join. So write down real quick 3 places. This could be in the country. This could be a part of town that you live in. This could be a club. This could be a restaurant. I want you to put 3 specific places that you're going to try to go to, you're going to go to over the next month. And no matter your financial situation, figure out how to do it. If you have to go with a friend, if you go there and you drink water or a cup of coffee, you sit in the lobby of the hotel, I want you to go to those places. And it needs to be places you've never been before, and it needs to elevate your energy and your vibration. Meaning, the second that you go into this place, this environment, you feel better. You feel wealthier. You feel more confident. You feel better. Everything about you just glows. And that is going to be step 1 of making the question occur of, how do I come here all the time? How do I do this? It's like the Steve Harvey quote where he talks about just fly first class once. Because when you fly first class once, number 1, you're not going to want to go back to economy, but also you're going to start asking yourself the question, how do I do this all the time? Next, I want you to identify in detail the types of people that you want to start surrounding yourself with. What do they do? What are their values? What are their morals? What interests do they have? Most importantly, what traits do you not want to have in a friend? What traits do you not want to have in employees when you hire people at your company? Do you want them to be motivated? Do you want them to be successful? Do you want them to work out? What things are important to you? Because, like I said, we all operate. We're all sometimes, no matter how smart and focused we are, we're moving. We got this today. We got that tomorrow. We got this thing. We're in traffic. We're doing this. So it's easy to get caught up in autopilot. So if you don't actually know who you want to have in your life, what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, you're going to end up with so many different random people, environments, circumstances, and outcomes. So we want to be diligent about what we actually want. Okay, and then next is I want you to find out, and maybe you need to do research, look on YouTube, you can message me, you could ask a friend or whatever the case may be. I want you to find 3 books that you can read over the next 3 months and read at least 10 to 15 pages per day. You stack that up over a month, that's over 300 to 400 pages. Okay, so find those 3 books, and I want to make sure that these books stretch your mind. They stretch your thinking. They make you question everything that you do, you think about, and the way that you process information. Okay, think about it. Just by changing these 3 things, I know your life is going to change in some capacity. And if you've chosen great environments, great people, and you stuck to your non-negotiables, and then 3, you read 3 good books, I can't promise you that you're going to be, the next Elon Musk, but I can guarantee that you're probably going to feel better, accomplish more, and start trending on the right path. Okay, number 2, visualization. Visualization trains your brain how to think, and it also trains your brain on your future self. It's something for me that changed my life forever. And as I'm telling you this, I'm making sure that I'm going to do it again today. I already did this morning. Find 5 minutes, 10 minutes to visualize like you're watching almost a movie and you're a character in that movie, that dream perfect life. Act it out in your brain and visualize and feel what it would feel like to be that person. You having that dream job, you reaching the goals and targets that you want, you achieving financial freedom, you meeting the person you want to marry, whatever those things are. I want you to visualize it in detail. What's so interesting about the human brain is that it doesn't know the difference between reality and thought. Think about it. We could think about something extremely sad and all of a sudden feel bad. You could start crying. You could think of something exciting and something you've always wanted to do, and you could get heightened emotion. You could think of something funny and start laughing. But they've tested this on humans' brains, and they've tested this also in sports on Olympic athletes where they visualize them running the 100 meter or the 400 meter, and they see how their brain reacts, and their neurons react the exact way as if they were actually running the race. So you're actually training your brain how to act in the future. And not only that, you're adjusting your frequency. Because if your brain doesn't know the difference between thought and reality, that means we can actually change who we are just by thought. We can start operating on a higher frequency, therefore attracting the right people and circumstances into our lives. Hey guys, if you're an entrepreneur and you run a small, medium, or large size business, I'm taking on more clients to work with one-on-one to scale their business, improve their systems, and improve every aspect of their companies. Over the last 4 to 5 years, I built a business that's done over $55 million worth of revenue. We've been listed in Inc. magazine, listed as a best place to work 3 times in a row. And I created this blueprint, and I had a hypothesis. I said, look, I wonder if I could implement this into other people's companies. And for years, people asked me to help them, and so I just didn't have the time. But I've now built the infrastructure to be able to work with more businesses. Currently, I've worked with 25 different companies, and in just 90 days, we're averaging a revenue increase of over 50%, with multiple companies actually 10xing their monthly recurring revenue. But most importantly, you want to get your time back, delegate the right way, and build a company that you can actually create into something that's special and sellable. So if you guys are interested, go to grantmittcoaching.com or hit the link in the description below. Third, and this is so important, and this is something I've actually been really working on over the past 2 to 3 weeks. You cannot worry when you're in a state of gratitude. You cannot be sad when you're in a state of gratitude. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. He has a story that he was having a lot of success and then everything tanked. He was young, he was living in Southern California, and he only had $13 left in his pocket. And he said, well, I don't know what to do, but it was like 13 to 20 bucks, something really low. And he said, you know what, I'm gonna go to this buffet and I'm just gonna eat as much as possible because it's gonna be the last meal I have for a while. And it just is what it is. And he goes there and he had enough for one. And at the time it was really cheap. I don't know when this was, probably the 90s or something like that, maybe 80s. And he saw a little boy and his mom sitting there. And he went up and he said, hey, I want to give this to you so you can pay for your mom, take your mom to lunch. You're great. You look like a great boy. You've been so polite. I just want to give this to you. And he gave the last portion, was like $5-6 to the kid to pay for him and his mom. And he said it was the best feeling he's ever felt. And he said later that day, he went to his mailbox and someone that owed him money for something sent him a check for like $2,000, and he just started crying. Because at that moment of gratitude, he finally just gave it up. He didn't worry. And when you're in a state of gratitude, it attracts abundance. Think about when, I discuss this all the time with entrepreneurs and especially salespeople as well, is that think about when you've had your best week ever. You've crushed it in sales. You just closed this massive deal. You just got a promotion. Something great just happened. Do you notice that people kind of treat you differently? You notice that calling someone and setting an appointment or setting up a meeting or connecting with someone you've always wanted to network with. Do you notice how easy it is? You notice how it feels effortless? It's because you have an abundance mindset, not only in a thinking way, like you're saying positive things, but you feel gratitude. You feel happiness. You feel abundance because you're not stressed about what's next, therefore attracting better things. And so it's important to look every day and find ways to be grateful, including if it means you're going through a difficult time. There was a point in time in the second year in my first company, the solar business, I had a group of 3 or 4 people that were involved early on in the business, and one of the first hires found out they were stealing leads from the company. Stealing leads, each one of these things costs $50 to $100. I mean, they're super expensive. I mean, we spent over $1 million a year on leads regularly. And they were stealing leads and trying to basically steal stuff from the company. And I found this out and I was so hurt. And I was so disappointed because I invested so much time in them. I thought I was really close to them. They betrayed the company. And I had to make a difficult decision. I fired all of them. I don't want to go into the whole weeds of the story. But what I realized is I remember I was sitting on the balcony of my apartment at the time. And I said, you know what? This is so small in the grand scheme of things. And I'm so thankful that this taught me not only how to handle this, but if I can't handle this small problem, I can't handle anything bigger. And it's grooming and shaping me into who I need to become to actually accomplish things that I want to do in life. And that's the way I recommend you do it for every part of your life. Each one of you guys is going through something that maybe a lot of people don't know about. But I want you to zoom out and go, when you're 90 or 100 years old, and you're towards the end of your life, think about the benefits of this experience that you're going through right now, or experience you just went through. It is shaping and grooming you into who you're ultimately becoming. And I'm not saying this to be motivational. I'm saying this strategically. You have to go through challenging times to grow. When times are perfect, you got everything you need, my God, it feels good. And I wish we could have it all the time. If I did, there'd be no podcast because we'd all just be driving Ferraris and be happy. But it shapes us and grooms us into who we need to become, okay? So think back on the last couple challenging times you've had over the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. I bet you almost all of them, you'd say, you know what? I'm glad I went through that. Because if I didn't go through that experience, I would never be able to handle what I'm going through today. And I would never be helping the people and accomplishing the things that you're accomplishing today. So be grateful. You know, and if you can walk, if you can talk, if you have your health, if your family's still alive, if you have a spouse that loves you, if you have friends that support you, write it down, think about it in every single part of your day and be grateful. And not only will it make you feel better, but it'll help you attract more things to be grateful for. Okay, so let's go through a couple action items, all right? Number 1, I want you to read something for at least 10 minutes a day. If you feel like reading longer, do it. But if you don't, at least read 10 minutes per day. So you stretch your mind, you expand your consciousness, and you start thinking bigger. Okay, 2, I want you to start listening to people, not a lot, but just a little bit, that don't think like you. I love politics. I'm not going to start talking about politics on here. But I always like to listen to opposing views and people who don't think the way that I think, because I want to question why I believe what I believe so I can get to the root cause. Same thing for business. I want to listen to and read about and study people who think and operate completely different than the way I do. This challenges the status quo, helps you expand your thinking. And it may be a lot of times you're like, you know what? I agree with that. Or it may change your approach or perspective. Okay. Number 3. We talked about this early on. I want you to go find these new environments. Maybe plan a trip if you can afford it. Go to a different part of town. Go to a nice restaurant. Drive through a nice neighborhood. I want you to put yourself in environments that force you to expand your thinking. And then 4, go out and meet new people this month. And I want the goal is for when you enter the room, when you go up to meet someone, when you set up a meeting, I want you to feel a little uneasy. Feel a little uncomfort. That pit in your stomach, that hesitation, that worry, that is a sign that you are growing and forcing yourself to get to where you want to be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. As always, you can find me on all my social media channels at Grant Mitt, as well as my YouTube for long form content. Hope to see you guys again soon for episode 109. Thank you guys.